Chapter 2, Querying a Database. Now, for Chapter 2, we're going to start with the Bavant publishing that we did in Chapter 1. So, you can either click on the Start and search for Access here, or you can come to your Access button and click here. Now, if you have the recent, your Bavant publishing should be showing right here. So you just click on that and it opens it back up. Now, for me, I'm going to make a separate copy of this into my Chapter 2 folder. That way, if something goes wrong, I always have something to fall back on. So you can choose to do that or not to do that. It's totally up to you. But for me, I'm going to do a Save As, which allows me to put my database into a copy of it into my Chapter 2 folder. So I'm going to Access and my work, and since I don't have Chapter 2 yet, I'll do New Folder and call it Chapter 2 and hit Save. That way, I'm going to click on the yellow folder and now I'm going to hit Save. That way I still have my original Chapter 1 in case something bad should happen. Now, the only thing bad that could happen out of that is that if somebody accidentally turned in Chapter 1 instead of Chapter 2 on the Chapter 2 link. So make sure if you do that, that you turn in the correct database when you are submitting on Blackboard. Alright? Now, the first thing we want to do, if you came up with a yellow bar that says, like it's a security warning, go ahead and click on Enable Content so that you can edit it. Notice that I did not. So, the first thing on page 78, it wants you to close the navigation pane. Then we're going to click on Create. And this time, instead of a query wizard, we are going to do a query design, which means that you're going to choose which tables you're going to use. Now, you can make a query from other tables, other queries, and this actually shows both. Okay, that's our query. This is everything we have. In this book, we're only going to be doing this from tables, so it's alright. Now, in the book, it tells you to click on the customer table and then click Add. That is one way to choose the table that you're going to edit from. I will show you a faster way with the next query. So now go ahead and hit Close. You want to make this wider, so I'm going to come up and notice how I slide up and it goes to a double arrow. So I'm going to slide down and now I can see all of my fields. And what we want to do, we'll put our fields down here so that we can perform queries on that information. Now also, if this bugs you, you can move this up closer. It's whatever makes you happy, whatever is comfortable for you. It's totally your deal on that. Alright, so there's a couple of different ways to put fields into here, and in the book it has you double clicking, which is actually the way I normally do it. So customer number, I can double click, and then customer name, so I'm going to double click. Notice that it puts it in the same order that you're clicking on it. And then amount paid. That's kind of important because eventually you will end up with being told to put things in specific orders, so that it's not the same as in the table. And then last is current due. Alright, and with the next one I'll show you another way to do it if you don't like that, but that's my favorite. Alright, on page 81 it says we want to choose the criteria row for customer number. So remember, here's our criteria on the left hand side. Click in the white box right below the check mark, and in here we're going to tell it that we only want to find the customers whose names are or numbers are CSU 10. Now, since we made all of our customer numbers a unique number, our primary key, how many should there be? And if you said 1, excellent, because remember it's a unique number, so there can only be one customer with that number. Excellent. So we hit run, and now we're going to save. So we hit the save button, and our query is going to be called CH2 for chapter 2, query Q01. So CH2 Q01, chapter 2, query 1. Alright, and then say OK. And now our query is saved. If we were to open our navigation pane, here's our query. Awesome. Okay. Now on page 83, we're going to learn how to use wildcard. Wildcards are perfect for whenever you want to have, so let's say that we knew that our customer number started with a C, and we wanted all the customer numbers or the customer names that started with C. We could type in a C and a star, which is right above the number 8. Then it would find every single customer name that starts with a C. Alright, so, and the book is really good. It explains that well on page 83. So number 1 on page 83, it says go to the view button here and click on the down arrow, and you want to switch to design view. Alright. Now from here we want to click on the criteria row. We're going to erase this one, so we're going to erase the CSU 10. So go ahead and just erase that. And now this time we want to go to customer name, still in the criteria row, and we're going to type S with a star, and the star is the shift and the 8 to get the star, in case you don't know. Alright, so we're going to find every customer name that starts with an S. Now we slide up here to results. We're going to click on run, exclamation point, and it shows us that we have 2 customers that start with an S. So now we're going to do a file save as. We're going to, because this one searched for different things. Now it's very important that you change the name when it tells you to, because if you accidentally save over this as chapter 2 query 1, then you have erased the correct chapter 2 query 1. So that one will be wrong, but so would chapter 2 query 2, because you don't have this on chapter 2 query 2. So very important to make sure that you save exactly as they say. So file, save as, and we're going to save the object as, and we're going to call this save as here, and instead of copy of, you're going to get rid of copy of chapter 2 query 02. Alright, and this is a query, so we say OK. So now this is chapter 2 query 02. Now when you open this up, you know you've messed up if you do not have 1 and 2. Alright, just checking you now. That way it's easier to fix now than later. Alrighty then. So on page 85 it says go to the view button. This time I'm just going to click on it and it takes me straight there. And this time we're going to edit the city field. So we're erasing this criteria, and then we're going to the city. So add the city field. Thank you very much. So we'll double click on that, and now we're going to add in the criteria Gaston. So Gaston is the name of the city that we are searching for now. Now this box right here, notice that all of these have check marks, and all of those fields showed up the last time we ran this query. Now for this, it does not want us to show the city column. Alright, so you will not see the word Gaston. You will only see the results of the customers in Gaston. So we're going to hit run. And notice we have two different people than we had before, but the Gaston city, the city column is not showing. There's no sense really showing it because they're both the same, right? So then on page 87 it says to return to design view. Notice that it did not say to save. So design view, and in city right now we're going to change it into a criterion where it asks you every time you click on this query what city you want to search. So for that you are going to do the square bracket, left square bracket, bracket, enter city. So what happens is when you click on this query, it'll prompt you with a box that says enter city. Kind of cool. Now we're going to hit run, and there's the box that you just created. Pretty cool. And we're going to type in Adelphia and say OK. Now here are our Adelphia cities, and granted, once again, it does not show Adelphia as the city, but we type that in. So number 4 on page 88 says File, Save As, Object, Save As, and this time on number 4 it says call this customer. They're tricking you here. Customer, making sure you're paying attention. Customer city query. And then say OK. And so now you have the customer city query. So you should have chapter 2 query 1, 2. This is the one from chapter 1, but it's still there. That's okay. And the one that we just created, customer city query. If you don't have 4 queries, then you've got a problem. All right. So we are going to close that query, and we are going to take a break in the movie.